All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about a pretty big move in the world of AI. Anthropic just launched Claude Opus 4.1, and they're making some bold claims that it's the new king of the hill. So, we're going to see if those claims actually hold water.
But before we get into all the specs and the numbers, let's just pause and ask a more basic question. When a company says their AI is smarter, what does that even mean? Is it just about getting a higher score on a test, or is it something more? That's the question we're going to keep in mind today.
And that brings us directly to the big news from Anthropic. They've just unveiled what they're calling a major upgrade to their top-tier model, Opus. So say hello to Claude Opus 4.1. This isn't some far-off promise. It's here right now. It's already available for paid users through their API, on Amazon Bedrock, and on Google Cloud's Vertex AI. But maybe the best part for a lot of folks, they're giving you all this new power for the exact same price as the old version.
So what exactly did they change under the hood? Well, it's not just one little tweak. Anthropic has really pushed a whole package of improvements here.
The big focus is on what they call agentic abilities. The best way to think about it is upgrading the AI from just a calculator to more of a project manager. It can now handle these really complex multi-step jobs way better, which means smarter coding, much deeper research, and it's way better at remembering tiny details in long conversations.
Now, for all the developers watching, this is probably the headline you care about most. Anthropic isn't just saying it's a little better at coding. Nope. They're claiming it set a brand new record on one of the toughest coding tests out there.
And that new record comes down to this number, 74.5%. That's its score on the SW Bench verified test. This thing is brutal. It makes the AI fix real bugs from actual GitHub projects. Getting a score this high isn't just an improvement, it's a massive leap.
But, okay, benchmarks and lab tests are one thing, right? The real question is always, how does it actually perform out in the wild? On real jobs, let's take a look at what some of the first people to use it are saying.
First up, we've got a pretty heavy hitter, GitHub. They're reporting notable performance gains in refactoring code across multiple files. Now, any developer will tell you that is a messy, complicated, and super tedious task. Having an AI that can handle that is a huge time saver.
And it's not just about changing a bunch of code. It's about being precise. The Rakuten group said it excels at pinpointing the exact fix needed in a massive code base. And, this is the crucial part, doing it without breaking something else. That kind of surgical precision is basically the holy grail when you're debugging.
And to put a number on this real-world performance, the company Windsurf saw a 1 standard deviation jump over the last model. In plain English, that's a huge leap in quality. It's like the difference between a brand new intern who's still learning and a reliable junior developer who you can actually count on. It's a big deal.
So how in the world did Anthropic actually get these amazing scores? What's really cool is they've been super transparent about their methods, and that actually tells us a lot about how this AI thinks and where it really performs its best.
Okay, so a key part of their secret sauce is this technique called extended thinking. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like when your math teacher told you to show your work. Instead of just spitting out a final answer, the AI actually writes out its whole thought process first, which helps it work through much tougher problems without getting tripped up.
And they use this technique really strategically. For straightforward coding tests like SWE Bench, the model just gives the final answer. But for the really hard reasoning challenges, like one called GPQA Diamond, they let it think out loud. And this transparency is awesome because it shows us the exact conditions where the AI can truly shine.
And if you really want to geek out and dig into their technical appendix, you find even more interesting little details. Like for that top coding score, notice how Anthropic tested Claude on the full 500 problem set. Some older scores from competitors only used a smaller chunk of those problems. It's a subtle point, but it shows they're really trying to make a true apples-to-apples comparison.
Okay, so let's zoom back out. We've got record-breaking benchmarks, we've got real-world proof from big companies, and we have this transparent testing. What does all of this actually mean for the people who are going to be using these tools every single day? At the end of the day, the takeaway is really simple. You are getting a significantly more powerful, more capable AI tool for the exact same price as before. This isn't some expensive niche feature. It's a direct power-up for anyone doing serious coding, research, or analysis. It makes these advanced abilities way more accessible.
And if you're thinking you want to try this out for yourself, the good news is it's really straightforward. Anthropic's advice is basically to just switch over from the old Opus 4 for everything. If you're a developer, it's as simple as updating the model name in your API call. And of course, all the deep dive documentation is out there if you want to learn more.
And that kind of brings us full circle,
Right back to that question we started with about what smarter really means. We've just seen AI take a huge leap in mastering code, a skill that's all about pure logic. So it leaves us with this one last, really fascinating question to chew on. As AI gets this good at logical tasks, what's next? What about all those uniquely human skills, like creativity or strategy or even empathy? That right there is the next frontier. Thanks for tuning in.